But I did just want to say a few words, and I'll invite my good friend Arthur to walk us through the missing man table. And then I'd also like to invite Reverend Nicole to say a few words. But just to kick off, part of the reason that we're doing this, right, is going back to the meaning of Veterans Day. If you go back far enough, does anybody know the original meaning of Veterans Day?
Armistice Day.
Armistice Day, right. Now it's supposed to be, the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. It's supposed to be the end of war. It's supposed to be the end of suffering, right? As we all know, with hindsight, that didn't work out quite so well, okay? So that war and suffering have continued, right? And we all know, especially in the last 20 years or so, there's been a little bit more discussion around the impact of trauma, things like moral injury, right? And one of the things that comes along with those is shame. I'm going to talk a little bit, like I said, I'm going to try to keep the tone light, but we're going to get into a little bit of a heavy topic for a second, okay? Because shame plays a very important role in some of the things that we've seen, again, in the last 20 or so years around suicidality, right? And as some of you are aware, I've had more friends than I like to think about commit suicide. Matter of fact, just this past September, I lost a cousin. So it's a big deal, right? There's a lot of personal meaning to this for me, right? So I'm going to go a little bit, what you might think is off topic for just a second, talk about fight or flight. Everybody knows fight or flight, right?
Yes.
It's actually fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, but that's going down a different route. Okay, so fight or flight plays this really important role evolutionarily for us. It's preparing you to do something. It's preparing you to, again, fight or run, okay? So physiologically, your body does this really interesting thing when you get into fight or flight, right? You start to go into shock. Your body starts pulling all that nice, warm, oxygenated blood out of your extremities, and it pulls it in your torso, okay? Go far enough back in time, when you were fighting a saber-toothed tiger, right? You take an injury to your arm or your leg, that's a survival mechanism. It's to try to keep you from bleeding out as quickly. Again, we all know modern combat, that physiological mechanism isn't so great because you get shot in the torso. All that nice warm oxygenated blood is now here, and it kind of comes out like a colander. It's not great, but I digress. The purpose of that was to keep you alive, okay? So, like I said, you think I'm going down one path. We're talking about something, why does this matter? Because what is shame? There's a physiological response that happens with shame, too. You want to take a guess as to what that is? We blush, right? So that serves two purposes, okay? Or one, it's a visible signal to the rest of your group, to your tribe. I recognize that I have done something wrong, something that might get me kicked out of the tribe, okay? And again, go far enough back in time, getting kicked out of the tribe was a death sentence. You can't survive on your own, right? So you're displaying visibly to everyone around you that you feel like you've done something wrong, okay? And we'll get back to what to do about that in a second. The second piece of that is that you're very literally preparing yourself to die from a physiological standpoint, because of the blush, you're pushing all that nice, warm, oxygenated blood out into your extremities. So if you were to take a relatively minor injury, you would actually bleed out faster, right? So from a physiological standpoint, your body is preparing itself to die when you experience shame, okay? Why is that important? It's because of what's supposed to happen next. What's supposed to happen next is that you experience shame. You've demonstrated that to the group, and the group says, no, it's okay. We get it. You're forgiven. You're welcome back into the group. Usually there's some sort of, even an informal ceremony around that, but there's something that happens to where you're made to feel welcomed again. And then the feeling of shame goes away, or at least dissipates. and you get on, right? But what happens when that doesn't happen? You don't get that welcome back to the group. The shame becomes internalized, and you sit with it, and you stew with it again and again and again over a long period of time. And that's what leads to suicidality. Okay? Now, in a lot of religious practices, there's a very deliberate ceremony around this. Okay? Everybody that goes to St. Andrew, St. Francis, I know you'll know this, but we have two little pieces in every Sunday service. One, where we do prayers for the people, but then we also do a prayer for forgiveness. So it's a silent thing. We're not admitting openly what we feel like we've necessarily done wrong or transgressed. But we have that moment where we think about what maybe we've done wrong. And what immediately follows that? The peace. There's a very deliberate moment where we go around the room and say hi to each other and kind of welcome each other to the group again, right? There's a reason for that. And that's why we're here today. It's because we want to make sure that people feel like they're part of a community, like they're part of a group, okay? Because, and again, this is going back into my other background as a social worker, there's studies that show that the single greatest indicator that someone is going to recover after a trauma is their perception of social support. It's not going to therapy, it's not drugs, it's not, and when I say drugs, I don't mean the fun ones. I mean the medication kind, okay? It's the perception of social support. And weirdly, it's not even the actual fact of social support. It's not, I go to this group and I get social support on such and such basis. It's whether they feel like they have people to support them and care about them. Okay? So that's why we do these meetings every month, and that's why we're gathering here today, is to help people feel like they're part of a group and that they're welcome again. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So, Arthur, if you wouldn't mind, just read us through the missing man table.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Nathan, for having me give this honor to bless this missing man and women table, because we do have fallen women as well. Each item on this missing man and woman table represents the emotions and feelings reserved for those who have not come home. Okay. The ceremony symbolizes that they are with us in spirit, and all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and fought for our freedom and honor. The symbolism of the missing man table and women. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men and women. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives. And when answering the call to serve, the single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the lives that these Americans and their loved ones and friends who keep the faith while seeking answers. The red ribbon symbolizes our continued determination to account for their missing. The slice of lemon is symbolized that it reminds us of their bitter fate that each woman and man have lost and captured a missing in foreign land. A pinch of salt represents that the tears of our missing and their families who have longed for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country. Founded as one nation under God. The glass symbolizes the inability to share a toast. The chair is empty the seat remains unclaimed at the table. That is a lot to take in, and for us not to forget. And that's the reason why we have the missing men and women table, so that we don't forget for those who sacrificed their lives for this country. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reverend Nicole.
Nathan talked about something really important with shame and how we internalize shame. Part of what happens with shame is that we start to believe not that we did something wrong, but that we are wrong. And when we believe that there's something wrong with us, we lose our sense of belovedness. We lose our sense of why it even matters for us to exist. So much is at stake. But part of what we know about community, we know about showing up for people, is that we love people back into being. So all of you that are here are part of loving people back into being, reminding them who they are, reminding them of their belovedness. We are not the worst thing we've ever done. We are always beloved by God, and nothing can ever take that away. Nothing. So our job is to support our veterans. Our job is to show up in community. Because what shame needs is secrecy and silence. So you all coming together make it possible to help love others into being, especially our veterans who especially need it. So I just want to thank you for being here and being part of this love that we're trying to do to build people back into their own sense of beloved humanity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Reverend Nicole for hosting us, as always.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you to Mayor John for your partnership in this. Thank you, Arthur, for always being here to support.
I'm always here.
And thanks to all of you for being here. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Say a few words? Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Just to let you know, that this significance here is done throughout the whole world. Every mess hall, every formal event, there is this significance and our homage to those who cannot be with us. Just like the tomb of the unknown soldier, this is just as equal. Knowing that there are people that are not going to be with us. Veterans Day, very important day for all of us. Not only is Veterans Day tomorrow, but November 10th happens to be my two colleagues here, Marine Corps birthday.
Oh yeah.
After 249 years of them being in existence. They've been giving their lives for us, for humanity, and for preserving our democracy here in our homeland. I have a lot of friends that are Marines, and I hold my life to them. And I appreciate what we do here. We're here once a Saturday, sit there and talk, veterans talk. Or anybody can come and talk with us.
Yeah.
Share some pain, share some glory. But and I want to thank our journalists for being here to journalize what occurs and what it means for us, in this house. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. No more speechifying. Enjoy the chili. If anybody else would like seconds?
Can we just have a little from Malden, New York, and Joe was very instrumental in the POW MIA movement, and it's because of Joe